Hello and welcome to the 741 channel. Thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to be replacing the button that actuates the rear hatch glass on my 2007 Chevy Suburban. I'm also going to be attempting to troubleshoot and repair a faulty backup camera in this Suburban. But as a spoiler alert, I'll let you guys know ahead of time, I wasn't able to actually fix the backup camera. Before I get started with the video, I just want to let you guys know this didn't exactly turn out the way I expected it to. I ended up getting everything put back together, but not really the way that I wanted to. This trim piece is made out of sort of brittle plastic that didn't age well over the years. And that caused a lot of the problems that you're going to see in this video. So if this is something that you're going to tackle on your Suburban or Tahoe, just kind of be aware of what's happened here. Maybe watch my video, see the mistakes I made, and try not to repeat them. Anyway, on with the video. The first thing I'm going to do is open up the back glass. And because the button doesn't work, I have to use the key fob to do it. So what I'm going to do now is push in on the center of these panel hold down rivets. And I'll use my spudger tool to get behind these and pop them out. So now I'll close the glass and open the hatch. So now I've got a Torx T30 driver, and I'm going to use that to remove this screw that's in the grab handle on the bottom of the back hatch. And then there's another T30 screw here right behind the grab handle. So now I'm going to grab my panel popper tool and I'm going to sneak it in where the plastic meets the metal here. There's a little bit of a gap. And I'm going to start working on pulling this whole panel straight down. There's just spring clips that fit into slots in the metal, and it takes a little force to kind of pop them out. Once I get a few of the clips around the edges popped, I'm able to pull this down enough to see where the clips in the middle are. And then I can use my tool to get in there and just help disengage those clips. There were two clips on the base of the latch that required me to pull straight out on the plastic so that it would disengage from here. So I've got all the hold down pins popped out. Now what I need to do is demate this connector for the automatic open button. I find that it's easiest to use a thin flat bladed screwdriver to push this little locking tab out of the way to demate this connector. Now I need to use my panel popper tool and pop off this trim ring that's toward the top of the window. I don't need to pull this piece all the way off, just enough so that I can get in here and get this out from underneath it. So what's happening now is that this big piece of trim is held pretty much just on the latch for the back glass. What I think I need to do to get it the rest of the way is lower the hatch and pop the glass. Then I'll raise the hatch again with the glass open, making sure I don't slam it into the top of my garage here. And now I should be able to get this out of here. So the next thing I need to do is remove this trim piece here that's above the license plate. So there's just 4 bolts that hold on that trim piece, and they're accessible through holes in the sheet metal. Here, here, and here. Now there is one bolt behind the wiper motor. So what I think I'm going to do is grab my 10mm socket, and I'm going to loosen up these 2 bolts that are holding the bracket for the wiper motor to see if I can pivot this out of the way. As you can see, I was able to remove the 2 bolts and spin the wiper motor out of the way, and now I can access that hidden nut that I need to remove. So I've run into a bit of a snag. The bolts that hold this trim piece on are held under the trim piece with just a sort of a plastic clip. Well, what's happened is, because this is an old vehicle, that plastic clip is brittle, and when I tried to loosen those nuts, the bolt just spun and broke inside the trim piece. So at this point, I don't think I have much of a choice. I think I have to brute force this thing off of here and kind of break the internal hold downs the rest of the way. And the reason I think I have to do that is because this is now loose. I can't loosen the bolts, I can't tighten them either, and now water will get down in there and just cause more problems. So I think I have to just keep going. Now I think I have a plan. I think I know how to fix this as long as this comes off cleanly. If not, I guess I'll be shopping on eBay or the junkyard for a new one of these. As you saw, I was able to get this thing off. Here's the broken clips. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. But now what I'm going to do is disconnect the wiring harness here so that I can pull this the rest of the way off. So I'll just pull up these latches and pull out these connectors. So I'm having all kinds of problems here. I can't get these wiring harness clips to release so that I can remove this the rest of the way from the car. As you may be able to tell, this thing is packed with beach sand or something. So what I think I'm going to do is cut these clips, and then I'll end up just having to buy new ones and replace them. And of course, when I cut these, I want to be very careful that I don't cut the wires. So now that I have the trim piece free of the car, I'm going to pull off the glass popper button. Now, there's just a couple of tabs that hold it in place. I'll push them in with this screwdriver and slip it out. So what I'm going to do now is take the old backup camera out. It's just held on with these two screws. I don't know if you saw that or not, but the head of that screw just broke off, and the head on the other one is pretty rusty. So I think water's been getting down in here and corroding these things. Either way, this is now free to come out of here. Now, I don't really need to do this, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to remove the lenses for the license plate lights. And while I've got this thing free and everything removed from it, I'm going to take it over to the garden hose and wash all that old beach sand out of there. So what I want to do now is check the voltage on this connector that goes to the backup camera. So if I have voltage on the pins here of the connector, that means that everything is working inside the car and that the problem is in the camera. If there's no voltage here, then I've got a problem in the car somewhere. In order to test the backup camera, I turned the ignition on, but did not start the car. The engine is not running at this point. I then set the emergency brake and shifted the car into reverse so that the backup camera circuits would be active. And I verified that on the nav system, the screen is up for the backup camera. So I know everything is working as if the car were backing up. And I've got my voltmeter set up with the negative lead grounded to the chassis of the car. And I'm going to probe each one of these pins with my positive lead and then check the reading on the meter. Okay, so on the first pin, you can see we got about 6 volts. On the second pin, we've got 0. On the third pin, I've got about 1/10 of a volt. And on the fourth pin, I've also got about 1/10 of a volt. I don't have a factory service manual handy, so I don't know if those voltages are exactly correct, but there is power getting to the camera. So I'm going to go under the assumption that everything is correct in the vehicle and that the camera is just bad. I decided to separate the wiring harness from the back of the camera. This little connector just pops out. I needed to use this screwdriver to kind of push on this side and actuate this little tab, but I was able to get it to pop off without too much trouble. And now hopefully you guys can see it here on these pins that are on the back of the camera. There's a couple of them that have some corrosion on them. So what I'm suspecting is that this pin corrosion built up over time and caused everything to kind of get disconnected. So what I think I'm going to try and do is get this corrosion cleaned out of here and then put everything back together and see if it works. So to clean up the connections, I used a combination of this deoxit contact cleaner that I had and some isopropyl alcohol. And I got all the corrosion off the pins and inside the connector body here. So I'm going to go connect this up to the Suburban and just try it out and see if it works before I go any further. As is often the case with these projects that I work on, I went a little too far down the rabbit hole on this one. And I dissected my backup camera and consequently ruined it. I ended up doing some back and forth testing with this. I plugged it into the vehicle just by itself, put it in reverse just to see if I could get this thing working, and I couldn't. So since at this point I figured I didn't have anything to lose, I would try and dissect this thing and fix it. I took a Dremel tool to it to try and split the case right where the seam was. And that was successful. I was able to get in there and I could see that inside there was some moisture on the circuit boards. Well, I've got a little bit of expertise with working with circuit boards and even small electronics like this. I thought maybe I could save it. But when I took a closer look at it, this little flexible, I guess you could call it a circuit board, that connects the rear connector of the camera to the inside circuitry, I ended up slicing that with the Dremel tool. And there's going to be no way to fix that and still be able to get this thing back together and sealed up. So I'm going to write this thing off as a loss. Now, I thought about trying to find a new backup camera to replace this old one, and I looked online and found that the replacements are about $300 plus, at least for a factory unit. So I don't think I'm going to go that route. If I end up putting a backup camera in this thing, I'm going to do an aftermarket one, but I'm not going to do that as part of this project. I'm going to just put everything back together and run it without a backup camera. So what I want to try and do now is remove these hold down bolts the rest of the way from the back hatch. You can see that on the first one here, I've got a pair of vice grips clamped on to hold the head. And obviously I've crawled in the back of the car with the back hatch open, and I'm going to grab my 10mm socket and try and remove the nuts the rest of the way. So I got that off. It looks like the problem is this bolt is loaded with thread locker. I guess the GM engineers didn't want this thing loosening up. The first thing that I wanted to do is find replacements for these two side clips that go on either end of this trim panel. Now, you guys may remember from earlier parts of the video that these sort of have a rounded edge on them. And that's so that when they clip into place on the trim, they clear the radius here. So I couldn't find any replacement clips with round corners, so I just bought some rectangular ones and clipped off one of the corners. They should fit just fine on there. I ended up getting these on Amazon, so I'll leave a link below in case you need some of these for your project. So as I mentioned earlier, I destroyed the old backup camera, and I can't put it back in where it goes. And I didn't want to leave this with this hole in here, if for no other reason. I have a feeling that bees would love nothing more than to just go in there and make a big nest inside of there. So what I ended up deciding to do was make myself a little plastic filler panel, and I'm going to glue this thing in with some E6000, of course. And just as a side note, the plastic filler panel is actually the center part of a lid from a Taster's Choice instant coffee jar. As it turns out, this little logo that's in the center here is a perfect fit for the backup camera hole. I don't want a bunch of squeeze out of the E6000, so I'm going to use this X-Acto knife blade to just put a little bit inside the spot where the backup camera would have went. So this thing has turned into a big steaming pile of, well, you know. In other words, going through all this effort to take this thing apart really wasn't worth it just to change this hatch button. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, the slots where those original fastening bolts went into had all just kind of cracked and broken apart. And I decided what I would do is put my own bolts in here. Now, I probably could have used something a little stiffer, like some kind of plastic epoxy or maybe JB Weld to glue in those original bolts. But I had a feeling that that might not bond to the plastic well, and even if it did, I had a feeling when I tightened it up, the plastic would just crack again. So what I ended up doing was drilling holes through the tabs that were here, and I put my own hardware in. Not sure if you can see it, but I just got some stainless steel bolts, and I put a washer under the head through the hole that's in the plastic, and then a nut on here. And what this will do is go into the vehicle, and then I'll put nuts on top of here to tighten everything down, and hopefully that will hold this stupid thing together. So I don't know if this is really going to do anything or not, but I've got some butyl tape that's usually used on campers for weather sealing. I'm going to put this on here over the holes to try and help keep water from getting in here. Now that I've disturbed everything, it's not sealed up like it used to be, and I'm just worried that water is going to leak into these holes and get down into the tailgate. Like I said, I don't know if this will actually stop it, but it's the best I've got right now. Now before I put all the wiring on, you can see that I've covered up the end of the unused camera connector with some electrical tape just to keep any moisture out of it, hopefully. Now what I'll do is put the license plate bulbs in. Those just click in and get a quarter turn to lock into place. I never did find a suitable replacement for these wiring harness clips that I cut when I took this apart, so I'm just going to use some zip ties to hold everything together. Should be just fine. And now I'll put in the hatch popper button, which was the whole point of going down this rat hole in the first place. This is just going to slide into the hole and click into place. And then I'll just reinstall the connector. And I can't forget my modified panel clips here over on the corners. Now I'm going to see if I can get all these bolts lined up to the holes in the gate and get this thing installed. I'll open this gate and see if we can put some nuts on those bolts and tighten this thing up. Before I forget, I better install these lenses that cover the license plate bulbs. So to take the place of all that Loctite that was in there originally, I got some locking nuts to put on this side of the bolt. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the bolt that's behind the windshield wiper motor, see if I can get it to tighten. So I've got everything back together now. Now I'm not sure if this trim piece is seated quite as tightly against the sheet metal as it was from the factory, but it's there, it's solid, it's not moving. I think it's okay. The one thing that I'm concerned about is whether or not it's going to leak in the rain. So it's actually not raining now, which is a miracle because it's been raining for about 7 days straight now. So I'm going to grab the garden hose and spray this thing down and then check inside to see if I see any signs of leaking. I'll let the water drain off and then we'll pop the hatch and see if there's any inside. Seems pretty dry in there. I'm going to do this a couple more times with higher pressure and just make sure. So after a few more tests with the garden hose and leaving the car out in the rain overnight, I've determined that nothing is leaking. So now I can finish reassembly. What I'll do next is put the wiper motor back in place and bolt it back into the back of the hatch. So I'm going to slip these washers in between the plastic hold-down ears and the rubber grommets. Then I'll bring in the hold-down screw and drop that in between the sheet metal, the rubber grommet, the washer, and the hold-down ears. So I'll hold the screw from the back side and then thread the nut on. And these have some remnant of that purple thread locker that Chevy used here, so we're going to have to hold the screw from the back side while I tighten it. So I tighten those up so they're just snug. They don't need to be super tight because of the rubber grommet. So there's two clips in the bottom of the rear trim panel. This one here is fine. The one over here is one that I broke when I took this out. So I grabbed some JB Weld plastic epoxy and glued it back into place. I'm using this gaffer's tape to kind of hold it in place while it sets up. So I'm going to let this sit here for about a day or so before I put it back in the car. So it's been a couple of days. The epoxy is all cured on here, so I think I'm ready to put this thing back in the Suburban. So to get that trim panel back in, the first thing I need to do is pop the glass, and now, of course, we can use the button. So I'm going to let this go up just so that I can get the trim panel back out of here, but I don't want to let it close all the way or the glass will relatch itself. But anyway, what I want to do is lift this into place and get this part of the trim over the window latch. So now that I've got that hooked over the window latch, I can start working my way forward and pushing the push pins into the holes in the sheet metal. But before I do that, I want to reconnect the wire for the automatic open and close button here. So now that I have some of the clips pushed in over here in the main body of the panel, I want to put these ones that go into the bottom of the lip before I get too much further. I need to pull out on this, position them in, and then just kind of pop them into place, like that. Now that those are in place, I can re-engage these top pieces too. So now I can reinstall the two screws, one in the handle and one in the pull handle. And then the last thing to do is reinstall these two push pins at the top of the trim panel. Just put those into place and then push the little center button so it's flush to lock them in. And that should do it. Now, if I had done a little research ahead of time and realized that the camera for this car really isn't available at a reasonable price anymore, and maybe found some references online to the fact that this piece of trim here is a little bit brittle and kind of hard to work with, I might not have taken this job on. But I was able to kind of get through it in the end, and it looks like everything's going to be okay. And in one regard, it's now better than it was because I now have a functioning hatch button that I probably will never really use, but I no longer have a backup camera, which wasn't working anyway, and I just have a dummy plate in there. And now I'm going to be suspicious of this piece of trim leaking over time because maybe it's not sealed quite the way that it was when the factory built the car. I don't know, time will tell. If you did enjoy the video or found it helpful or useful, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to leave a comment or subscribe, feel free to do that as well. If you'd like to support my channel in another way, please consider taking a look at my Amazon store, which is linked in the description below.